In the depths of my childhood home, concealed beneath the creaking floorboards, lay a forgotten secret, a basement. A dark and eerie place that whispered tales of forgotten terrors. As a child, I was forbidden from venturing into its shadowy depths. The warnings of my parents echoed in my mind, painting vivid images of lurking monsters and unforgiving darkness. But curiosity, like an insatiable beast, gnawed at me relentlessly. One moonless night, as the house slumbered, I summoned my courage and crept down the narrow wooden stairs. Each step towards the yawning abyss filled me with a cocktail of trepidation and exhilaration. The darkness enveloped me like a suffocating blanket, broken only by the flickering light of a dying bulb. The air was thick with the musty scent of decay and the subtle hum of ancient machinery. Cobwebs adorned the walls, like intricate tapestries woven by unseen hands. As I ventured deeper into the basement's labyrinthine depths, the shadows seemed to dance and shift, whispering secrets to my overactive imagination. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest, and every creak and groan sent shivers down my spine. Suddenly, a sound pierced the oppressive silence, a faint scratching noise. My eyes widened in fear as I frantically searched for its source. With trembling hands, I pointed the flickering light towards the corner of the room. There, in the dim glow, I saw it, a small, furry creature. Its beady eyes gleamed in the darkness as it scurried across the floor. A wave of relief washed over me. It was just a mouse, but as I watched it disappear into a hole in the wall, I couldn't help but wonder what other creatures may be lurking in the shadows. I continued my exploration, my senses heightened by fear and adrenaline. I discovered an old workbench cluttered with forgotten tools and a dusty rocking chair that seemed to creak with the weight of untold stories. As I approached the far end of the basement, I noticed a heavy wooden door, its surface weathered and covered in intricate carvings. A sense of foreboding gripped me as I reached out to turn the rusted handle. The door creaked open with a spine-chilling groan, revealing a small, windowless chamber. A musty odor permeated the air, and the walls were adorned with strange symbols that seemed to writhe and change before my very eyes. In the center of the chamber, illuminated by a single flickering candle, was an old wooden table. Upon it lay a book bound in crumbling leather. Curiosity overcame my fear, and I cautiously approached the table. As I reached out to touch the book, I felt a sudden surge of energy coursing through my body. The table began to shake violently, and the candle flickered and died, plunging me into complete darkness. Panic surged through me as I fumbled for the door handle, but it was gone. The walls seemed to close in around me, suffocating me with their oppressive presence. I could hear strange whispers echoing through the darkness, taunting me with their intangible voices. In that moment, I realized the true nature of the basement's horror. It was not a place of monsters or ghosts, but of ancient secrets and forgotten nightmares. The creatures that lurked within its depths were not physical beings, but the dark remnants of our deepest fears and desires. As the darkness consumed me, I knew that I had descended into a realm of madness from which there was no escape. The basement had become my prison, a testament to the horrors that can lie hidden beneath the surface of our own minds. In the depths of my home, where sunlight dared not venture, lay a forgotten abyss, the basement. Its existence was a whispered tale among the family, a place of shadows and untold secrets. As a child, I was forbidden from its enigmatic depths, but curiosity burned within me like an unquenchable flame. One night, armed with a flickering flashlight and a heart pounding with anticipation, I ventured into the darkness. The musty scent of decay hung heavy in the air, and cobwebs clung to every surface. The walls seemed to close in on me, suffocating me with their oppressive silence. My flashlight beam danced across the dusty floor, revealing piles of forgotten boxes and broken toys. As I navigated the labyrinthine space, a shiver ran down my spine. I felt an unseen presence lurking just beyond the reach of my light, its cold gaze heavy upon me. Suddenly, a faint scratching sound echoed from the far end of the basement. My heart skipped a beat as I cautiously approached the source. The sound became louder, more insistent, as if something was desperate to escape. Frozen with fear, I aimed my flashlight into the darkness. A pair of glowing red eyes stared back at me from a shadowy corner. A low growl reverberated through the basement, sending a wave of terror down my spine. I stumbled backward, my flashlight beam frantically searching for a way out. But every turn led deeper into the suffocating darkness. The creature's growl grew louder, more menacing. It lunged at me from the shadows, its claws gleaming in the dim light. Time seemed to slow down as I desperately dodged its attack. I could feel its hot breath on my neck, its razor-sharp teeth inches from my skin. Panic surged through me, propelling me forward with a newfound determination. With every ounce of strength, I bolted towards the stairs. I could hear the creature's heavy footsteps pounding behind me, its guttural growls echoing through the basement. I stumbled up the steps, my heart pounding in my chest. As I reached the top, I slammed the door shut and bolted it with trembling hands. I stood there for a moment, my body shaking from the encounter. I had escaped the horrors of the basement, but I knew that the memory of that night would haunt me forever. In the days that followed, I tried to convince myself that it had been a nightmare, a figment of my terrified imagination. But the scratching at the door, the glowing red eyes, and the creature's haunting growl refused to be dismissed. I became a prisoner in my own home, afraid to venture into the basement and tormented by the knowledge that the creature lurked below. Sleep eluded me, and every creak and groan in the house sent shivers down my spine. One night, as I lay paralyzed with fear, I heard the scratching again. It was louder this time, more insistent. I knew that it was only a matter of time before the creature broke through the door. Desperate, I stumbled to my feet and grabbed a heavy candlestick from the mantel. I stood by the door, my heart pounding in my chest. The scratching grew louder, more frantic. Suddenly, the door flew open, and the creature lunged into the room. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent intensity, and its claws were extended, dripping with something that glistened in the moonlight. Time seemed to blur as I raised the candlestick and struck the creature with all my might. A deafening roar filled the air, and the creature stumbled backward, its body convulsing. I watched in horror as it slowly sank to the floor, its glowing eyes dimming with each passing moment. As the darkness consumed the creature, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I had defeated the horror that had haunted me for so long. But even in victory, I knew that the scars of that night would never truly heal. The basement remained a forbidden place, a constant reminder of the horrors that lurked beneath the surface. And I, the survivor of its terrors, would forever carry the weight of that night upon my weary soul. In the depths of our ancient abode, a labyrinthine basement lay dormant, shrouded in an eerie darkness and silence. As children, my siblings and I dared each other to venture into its forbidden realm, our imaginations painting vivid horrors that lurked within. Years later, as a weary traveler, I returned home, haunted by the memory of that enigmatic basement. Curiosity and a lingering sense of dread drew me to its creaking door. With a shuddering breath, I descended the rickety wooden stairs. Dust danced in the air, casting an opaque veil over everything. The walls were lined with forgotten relics, their edges sharp and jagged. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling like ghostly shrouds, swaying gently in the draft. As I ventured deeper, the air grew heavy and damp. A musty odor permeated the space, triggering memories of childhood nightmares. Footsteps echoed through the silence, their origin lost in the void. Suddenly, a faint scratching sound reached my ears. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I slowly turned, my eyes darting nervously around. Nothing was visible, but the scratching continued, growing louder and more insistent. Fear propelled me forward, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I stumbled through a maze of abandoned rooms, desperate to escape the relentless noise. With each step, the scratching seemed to follow, its rhythm matching the pounding of my pulse. In a panic, I reached a door and fumbled with the handle. It was locked. Desperation surged through me as the scratching grew into a deafening roar. I pounded on the door, but it remained unyielding. Suddenly, the scratching stopped. A silence so profound it was almost deafening enveloped me. I held my breath, listening intently. Then, I heard it behind me. Slowly, I turned. There, in the dim light, was a small, shadowy figure. Its eyes glowed an eerie red, and its razor-sharp teeth were bared in a grotesque grin. I screamed and stumbled backwards, tripping over a loose wire. The figure lunged at me, its claws extended. I felt its cold breath on my face as it sank its teeth into my flesh. Agony exploded through my body, and I thrashed wildly, trying to free myself. But the creature's grip was unbreakable. As darkness enveloped me, I realized the true horror of the basement. It was not merely a place of forgotten relics, but a realm of malevolent spirits, forever bound to the shadows. In the depths of my torment, I heard a faint whisper, "Welcome home," and then I was consumed by the darkness, my screams echoing through the silent halls of the haunted basement.